My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. What I have here today is a Gazelle tent. This is the T3X version. Oh yeah, this is a big tent. Everyone, this is a preview, a first look at this tent. And at the same time, I'm going to share with you all my thoughts and impressions about this after one trip out. The other day I came out here to Lone Wolf Mountain to test out this tent, and it did a surprisingly good job in the conditions that it was facing. I have to say, it did leak. That sounds bad, but wait until you see the conditions that this tent went through. In the end, I was fairly impressed with just how well this tent performed considering those conditions. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. For now, let's focus on the tent and what you receive. Right off the bat, you have the storage bag, which is also a duffel bag. Up here at the top, you have a padded grab handle. Also, you could use this as a padded shoulder strap. Then you have two compression straps. As you can see here, you have the two grab handles, and you also have additional grab handles, two on this side, one on this side. Opening up the storage bag reveals the tent and the fly, along with some tent stakes. Let's move our focus away from the tent. Let's focus on the tent stakes and guy lines. So with this tent, you receive 4 guy lines and 12 of these tent stakes. These are rather long. They have this lip on here. Overall, they anchor well, but they are a pain in the you-know-what to get out of the ground. I'll talk about this aspect here in just a minute. Now everyone, let me show you all how to set up this tent. I will say this, if it's windy, go ahead and stake it out in the corners. If not, you can go ahead and focus on the panels. With each one of these panels, in the center you have a grab handle. What you're going to do is basically grab that handle and pull back until the frame locks into place. Once you've got one done, move around the body, repeating the process. To get the overall best pitch with this tent, now's a good time to stake out the corners. For the sake of this video and the sake of time, I'm going to skip that step. I'm going to move to the fly. To put the fly on the tent, the best course of action is not to raise the roof yet. Sounds like a party, but I guess in a way it is. So don't raise the roof, go ahead and grab the fly and throw it over the top of the tent. Once you have the fly on top of the tent, you'll notice that there's a few features here. In each of the corners, you have poles. In between each of the poles, you have hooks attached to elastic. These hooks go down and attach to the handles that pull out the panels, just like so. You're going to take those hooks and attach directly to the hardware. This is a metal piece of hardware that connects to the frame. Go ahead, walk around the body, and attach all of the hooks now. Now, my friends, let's go back to these little poles. If you pull back the fly, you'll see that the frame for this shelter is attached at the top of the tent. You want to take the small poles that are connected to the fly and attach them to the top frame. The end of the small pole will go inside of the main frame. Just like so. If you purchase this tent and you go to set it up, you may be wondering why I recommend using the hooks first. That's because of wind. Due to the shape and the design of the fly, it catches every bit of wind. So if you're not careful, that thing will just simply fly away. That's the reason why I recommend hooking it on and then attaching the poles. If there's no breeze at all, you could do the poles first, then the hooks. Now that we have the fly on, let's go ahead and finish the setup process. To do this, we need to go on the inside of the tent. This is what you need to do. Get inside of the tent, and then right here in the center, the roof will be caved in to a point. Take your hand and simply push it up. You will feel it lock into place, and guess what? You're done. With the tent being set up now, you can make your final adjustments and stake it out if you need to. Here in a moment, we'll go over the stats concerning this tent, but for now, let's take a look at its features. With the T3X tent, this is a 3-person tent. It has 2 doors. This is door number 1, and this is door number 2. And I'll tell you what, everyone, let's focus on these doors for a second. Down at the bottom, you have zippers. Use a zipper, and these allow you to open up the tent, as you see here. The overall shape of this door is rather interesting. This side is straight down, and this side is curved. There is a huge lip down here that you have to step over to get inside and to exit this tent. I have to say, I don't like this. This is very awkward, and the larger that you are, the taller you are, the more awkward this is going to be. Behind the doors, you do have mesh panels. that can be zipped shut. Additionally, as far as the features go, this tent features 6 vented windows. Along the body on the inside, you have 4 mesh pockets. Up at the top, you have a gear caddy. And the floor for this tent is removable. Those are the main features of this tent. Now let's go over some stats. So again, this is a 3-person, 2-door tent. The company claims this tent is 68 inches high, and it's 76 by 82 inches, and offers 43 square feet worth of space. The store dimensions, 57 by 10 by 10. The weight of this tent is fairly heavy. This is 29 pounds. As far as the materials go, you're looking at YKK zippers and a combination of Oxford polyester, a 210 denier and a 300 denier. As far as the hydrostatic head rating goes for this tent, I'm not exactly sure what it is, and that's because the company does not state it accurately on their website. They state in 2 different locations 2 different figures. They state that the Oxford weave polyester floor material is waterproof up to 2,000 millimeters. And then again it goes on to say that the Oxford weave polyester floor material is waterproof up to 5,000 millimeters. Which one is accurate? I have no idea. This tent is available in one color, and you're looking at it, Alpine green. But as you can see, the tent does have some additional colors, so it's green, gray, and you also have black. All in all, I think it looks pretty good. The retail price of this tent is $390. And lastly, folks, there are numerous versions of this tent available, including 3-person, 4-person, and even 8-person models. Additionally, the company does offer a number of accessories for this tent, including footprints, ground sheets in other words, upgraded tent stakes, and waterproof duffel bags. Now everyone, the company claims this tent is 68 inches tall, which is 5 feet 8 inches. That is not accurate. Let's see what it really is. I am measuring 64 inches, and that is 100% accurate. At the very top of the fly, it may be 68, but that doesn't matter because the inside of the tent's at 64. Now that we've gone over the functions and features and stats concerning this tent, let's go over my impressions so far. Now again, I've used this one time and I did film that adventure. So as I go over my thoughts and impressions so far, I will be sharing some video from that trip. Right off the bat, let's talk about handling. Initially, I was super concerned about how large this tent was. And that's because I received a box in the mail. I mean, it was gigantic. Luckily, once I began opening up those boxes, I discovered that the tent was like triple boxed. So it came very well protected, and the size wasn't actually that large. Luckily, the storage size is around 57 inches, which is large, but with those measurements, the tent will fit in the back seat of most vehicles. I'm glad to see the thing's not like 7 foot long or something, right? I was like, what the heck is this? It made no sense. Anyways, everyone, the overall handling of this tent is not bad, considering the size and the weight. I would say that the tent is slightly heavy at 30 pounds, and that does make it awkward to move it around and also to carry it. Because of these factors, it could be an issue for some people to set up this tent and to move it around. Next, folks, let's talk about setting up this tent. Overall, it is super simple. I believe the company states that you can set this up in about 90 seconds. That's not really accurate. You might be able to pop out the sides and pop up the roof, but you're not going to be able to put on the fly within 90 seconds. And that's for most people in most conditions. With a full setup, it may take 2 or 3 minutes. With that being said though, the overall setup process really is super fast. And the same applies for the breakdown process. It's very simple, very quick. Since we're speaking about the setup process, let's talk about these tent stakes. As you can see here, they're rather large. They do a good job of going into the ground and anchoring the tent. The problem comes from this small little lip here. So let's say that you want to pull this tent stake out of the ground. They are exceptionally difficult. If these tent stakes are anchored very well, these are almost impossible to pull out. And that's because this lip is so small. Basically, it covers 1 finger for myself. Now let's talk about the overall size of this tent. So overall, it is a big tent, there's no doubt about it. But I have to say that I'm disappointed because the measurements that the company gives aren't accurate as far as the height goes. Again, the company claims 68, but it's actually 64, and that's at the very center of the tent where it peaks. If you go out from the center, it's even lower than that. So for the majority of people, they can't stand up in it, whereas they could if the tent actually was 4 inches taller like the company claims. So in the end, I have to say I am disappointed in that aspect, and that's something that a lot of you all will be disappointed in as well. Over the years, I've received hundreds of questions about this tent, and everyone's interested in it because they can stand up in it. And we're talking about the 3-person version. But with the 3-person version, it's simply not possible to stand up inside of it for most people. If you decide to go up to the 4-person version, that one features a roof that's about 10 inches taller than this one here. And now that I've seen the size of this one, I would personally go with the 4-person version. It costs just a little bit extra, but that headroom is going to be worth it. So in other words, don't believe the company and make sure to get a tent that's comfortable to be in. Otherwise, you will be hunched over inside of this tent, which is a shame. Next, everyone, let's talk about these doors here. While I like the fact that there are 2 doors with this tent, they are difficult to get in and out of. If you have any sort of mobility issue, I would not recommend this tent. The overall D-shaped door design, it makes it very difficult to get in and out of this. I have no issues at all, but I do have big feet, so I'm constantly tripping over this thing. So even with someone who has good mobility, there's a trip hazard here, and that's because the doors are angled the way that they are. So overall, I do not like the design of the doors. I think they could be much, much better. Overall, the quality of this tent is shockingly bad for the money. Again, the retail price of this tent is about $400. It's like $390. I was very shocked to set this tent up and to see the overall quality of it. When I got this tent home after my initial trip, I set it up outside to let it dry out. Susie came outside to check it out because she's the one who was actually interested in this tent. She's the one who purchased it. I just used it first. But she walked out, she looked at it, and she's like, wow, this tent really looks awful. There's loose threads everywhere. The sew work is terrible. Like, I mean, seriously, the sew work is terrible. There are holes punched all over the body that feature no thread that you can see light through. Now, luckily, those holes do not impact overall waterproofness, but it looks bad. Inside, outside, very poor seam work, very poor stitching. Some of the material at the doors looked bad. Overall, the quality of this tent, as far as like the construction goes, shockingly bad. I mean, really, really bad, especially for that premium price. That's not what I expected to see with this company, with this product, because this is one of those products where everybody seems to like it. And it's interesting because I've spoken to people who have had like catastrophic problems with this tent, and they still love it. It's really quite interesting. So I'm not exactly sure where like this hyped up love for this product comes from, even though I have to say, I do like this product. Don't get me wrong. I know it sounds like I'm being very negative about this product, but I do have some positives to say. But when you look at the quality of this, I don't know. I'm just not really sure what other people are seeing in this, why they like it so much. I do like it, but I don't love it. Talking about quality control for a second, let's talk about the doors and the storm flaps. So with each door, it features 2 storm flaps that, for the most part, cover the zippers. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So on the back side, the storm flaps come together, they meet, covering most of the zipper. On this side, the storm flaps do not come together. There's about a 1-inch gap between each one, so the zipper is exposed. So in certain situations, the tent could leak. Since we're on this topic, let's talk about waterproofness. Now, with my testing, this tent does leak, and it leaks from the zippers. Now, I will say this, the event that took place where this tent leaked was an extreme situation. I came out here for a trip, they were calling for rain. As soon as I got here, they were calling for thunderstorms. Then there was a chance for severe weather. 5 o'clock in the morning, a strong storm moved into the area, super heavy rain. It was being wind blown completely sideways, winds up to 40 miles an hour. The tent leaked. And it leaked on the side of the tent that was taking the brunt of the rain, the brunt of the wind. While the tent did leak, I will give it a pass considering the situation, considering just how intense that storm was. I'm going to continue testing this aspect out. So I'm not ready to pass judgment fully on this tent in regards to waterproofness. But I will say, with the strong storm that it put up with, it did a fairly good job. It did leak some, but a lot of tents would have leaked in a situation like that. Speaking of this tent and how stormworthy it is, I have to say I am impressed with just how much wind that it put up with. Once you have this staked out fully, and you will need to have it staked out, it can handle fairly powerful storms with no issues. Overall, the airflow inside of this tent is amazing as long as it's not raining outside. Of course, if it's raining, you have to zip up the windows, the vents. As far as condensation goes, this is an aspect that I will be testing out in the future, so stay tuned for my results. So there you have it, everyone. Those are my impressions of this tent based upon one trip out so far. Overall, I can't say that I'm super impressed by this tent. In the end, it did really well in that storm, but the overall quality of this tent is questionable. It's expensive. I'm disappointed that the company overstated the height claims. And the thing is this, if I had known that information, I would have gotten the larger version. Now, I should mention this. Coming up very soon, Susie will have an overnight adventure using this tent. So make sure to stay tuned for that. It's going to be a wet weather adventure, and it will be interesting to see just how well she manages with a tent of this size. Is she going to have any problems moving it around, setting it up? These are questions that a lot of ladies want answers to, so Susie will address those in her adventure coming up soon. Now it's your turn, everyone, to sound off in the comment section down below. What do you all think about Gazelle tents? What do you all think about the quality? If you have one, have you had any issues? Over the last couple of years, I've heard a lot of good and also some bad. Big con for these tents are the doors and how difficult it is to get in and out of. Next, the overall waterproofness seems to be an issue when it comes to these tents. I heard from one individual who had substantial leaking from the hubs. I haven't had any leaking from those points, only from that one door so far. But that person loves his Gazelle so much that he didn't even want to return it. He took the whole thing apart, re-engineered it so it wouldn't leak. In my opinion, that's a little bit crazy considering the price of this tent. He did say that the company offered him a full refund or a replacement, which is nice. It's very interesting. The overall community seems to love these tents, and I'd love for you to comment as to why that is down below. All right, everyone, I'm going to continue testing out this product. Susie's going to test it out, and in the future, we will share our updated thoughts. But for now, I'm done. Take care, be well, strength and all.